So this will not come as a shock to many of you based on all the comments I received after announcing that someone offered to pay for Nathan Oakley to join us in Antarctica this December. But he refuses to accept this incredibly generous offer for a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, and more importantly, has turned down the chance to be one of the first flat earthers in history to visit Antarctica. And you won't believe the reason he gave for declining a free trip to Antarctica. It almost surpasses Flat Earth Dave in terms of ridiculousness. As a reminder, David Weiss turned down a free trip to Antarctica because he said my friends were demons, and then he also called me a demon. Now, I've done my homework on Nathan Oakley, surprise, surprise, and I've discovered some things that are going to be pretty shocking to most of you. Things that strongly imply he's not being completely forthright with his audience, especially regarding Antarctica and the 24-hour sun. Now, his followers have frequented my comments section and my email inbox, and they've tried to argue that Nathan doesn't take a position on things, so therefore I can't put him in the category of flat earthers who take a firm stance that there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Before I show you that he absolutely does take a firm stance on this issue, it would be remiss of me to not point out that this seems to be a tactic of some flat earthers to not take a position on things so as to not have to defend anything. This is incredibly anti-scientific, as the heart of science is making claims and predictions and then testing them. And that's exactly what the final experiment is. Testing the claim of the globe that there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and testing the claim of the flat Earth model that there is not a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. As I mentioned, Nathan definitely takes a strong stance that there is not a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, but don't take my word for it. Listen for yourself.
But what we do know for certain, number one, is that we've got a sun that goes around us. In reality, in both models, in the one model, the heliocentric model, it would necessitate having a 24-hour sun in the south. Now, further to the fact that we do have a 24-hour sun in the south, the north, we do not have a 24-hour sun in the south. So the reality of our world is that in both models, we're supposed to have a 24-hour sun. In the flat Earth model, we say there isn't a 24-hour sun in the south, and there isn't. And there is a 24-hour sun in the north, and there is.
So since Nathan is so confident that there isn't a 24-hour sun in the south, in Antarctica, what possible reason would he have for turning down a free trip there? You may not believe me when I tell you this, but he said he doesn't want to go with us to Antarctica because he says the final experiment is not an experiment, but is actually fraud. Yes, he says it's fraud, and he doesn't want to participate in fraud. Don't believe me that he said this? Hear for yourself.
Now, he's inviting me to go along, and I'm saying I don't need to go along because you're affirming the consequent with a pseudoscience fraud. Now, not only have I said I don't want to go with him, I've called him a fraud. Because he is. He's saying he's got an experiment. No, you're a fraud. You want to know why I won't go down to Antarctica? Interview me about him. Because I don't associate with frauds. Why is he a fraud? He said he's got an experiment.
Now, just to prove to everyone that the final experiment is not fraud, I have a dictionary right here, and I'm going to look up the word fraud and show you that it doesn't mean anything related to TFE and what we're doing. So let me find F. Here's F. And then we have fracture. It's to French fry. Okay, right here. Fraud. Wow. I'm stunned. Nathan, you got me here. I can't believe what I'm seeing. The sixth definition for fraud is free Antarctica trips. All right, you got me there. I'll give you that, but I'm not going to let you off the hook that easy. Earlier this year, when TFE really started gaining momentum, Nathan started releasing video after video after video after video after video, telling everyone that there is not a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Like I said, he's taken and continues to take a very strong stance on this issue. Now, the person you see in all these thumbnails is a man by the name of Robert Shortman. He spent time as a plumber in Antarctica, and he is the main piece of evidence that Nathan puts forth as to why he's so confident there is not a 24-hour sun in the South. In fact, Nathan's original interview of Robert Shortman 8 years ago is by far the most watched video on his channel. It's called Mechanics of the Fourth Wall, Confessions of an Antarctic Plumber. Now, at the time of this interview, Robert Shortman was a flat earther. This interview was in 2016. But his time as a plumber in Antarctica was back in 2003. And according to this interview, he was not a flat earther back then. Listen to a clip from this interview as Nathan really wants Robert Shortman to say there is no 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and you tell me if his response sounds confident to you.
The question that came up first and foremost on a lot of the comments was, is there 24-hour daylight in Antarctica?
24-hour daylight. I mean, the way I explain it is the daylight is similar to like in Norway and Alaska, and obviously that, you know, is 18, 20 hours, and then you get a merge in between. So when I was there, because I wasn't aware of all the flat earth truths and facts that I know now, the position of being aware of where the sun wasn't so much important, but I did pay attention to the arcs it was doing, and that was definitely, you know, horizontal arcs rather than all the way around. So I don't remember none of those. I remember more of the from one side to the other in the horizon kind of thing.
Wait, you mean you're in Antarctica and the sun wasn't going round?
Oh no, yeah,
you?
Yeah, that's right.
Oh.
Yeah.
Hello, Mr. Globalist. Is this? So it was coming up.
You don't pay attention to the sky and that kind of thing when you're there, because you're in such an extreme environment. You're kind of really trying to get to grips with how extreme it is.
Not very convincing, Robert. Did you hear what he said? He said you don't pay attention to the sky and that kind of thing when you're there because you're in such an extreme environment. And this makes sense. Well, in Antarctica for months at a time working, you're going to want to be inside, staying warm as much as possible. I don't think this answer satisfied Nathan either, so he asked him the question again.
So, Robert, just so we've got absolute clarity, is there 24-hour daylight in Antarctica, yes or no?
I'd say no, not all the time, no.
Still not too convincing. He said no, not all the time, no. Well, that wasn't the question. Even on the globe model, there is not 24 hours of sun all the time. At the South Pole on the globe model, there is 6 months straight of sun, but at other locations north of the South Pole, there is less than 6 months of sun based on latitude. So we still don't have a clear answer. And Nathan's audience was not satisfied and asked Nathan to ask Robert the question a third time.
I think this is why I've asked it a couple of times, but even now I still see it coming up in the chat in all caps. So can you give us a bit more clarity to what you saw in terms of the sun, what it did? Did you have 24-hour day? Did you have 24-hour night? And when you did it with us on Skype, you literally showed us what you saw the sun do visually. Can you just give us maybe 5 minutes of talking it through, give it loads of detail?
The sun, what I can remember, which is the time when I did pay some attention to the sun before the flat Earth awareness, it from what I could see, it did the horizon, so it would do an arc rather than a full horizon 360. That's what I remember more. I don't remember it ever going all the way around. That doesn't come to mind.
Okay. Flat earthers seem to think I should cancel the final experiment due to this Robert Shortman interview. What's funny about that is how flat earthers disregard anyone who claims to have seen something that would refute flat earth or prove the globe. They just call them a liar and move on. But then they essentially demand that we believe everything this guy, Robert Shortman, says as gospel. Pretty funny. Well, I'm a bit of a truther myself. So fellow truthers, please let me know how I did with this one, will you? I watched the entire interview with Robert Shortman, and I'm really glad I did, because he brought up something which became crucial to uncovering the truth. Check it out.
What book is that?
It is Empire Antarctica.
Will you show it? Yeah.
Yeah.
And what page did he just read?
Sorry, can you just hold it up a bit, Robert? I'll hold the
Yeah.
camera on you for a second just so you can actually see the book. There we go. Thank you very much.
You can get it on Amazon.
What page did you just read from? You know, because there'll be people out there who are saying none of this is true. You know, just so they can have a look and.
Yeah. That was page 91.
So when Robert was in Antarctica at Halley Research Station, the doctor on staff was Gavin Francis. And Gavin Francis wrote this book, Empire Antarctica, about their time in Antarctica at this British station. So what would a truther do? That's right, I bought the book and read it. So what did I find in this book? Well, let's start with the dedication. And this book is dedicated to 13 individuals, including one, Robert Shortman. And after listing these people, it says, the penguins were good company, but so were they. Next is something very interesting on page 65. It says this: by New Year's Eve, we were all back on to 12-hour day shifts. Midnight came and went, but the sun wheeled through the sky regardless. Interesting terminology, wheeled. Next is page 113, which says, for months, the sun had circled day and night, hoisted high like an ostensory on a priestly circuit. A circling sun, day and night, for months. And then page 220, which says, I returned from hauling with Mark straight into a week of nights, though by now the sun never dipped below the horizon. And then finally, page 243. Only 4 days out of Halley, we crossed the Antarctic Circle. Color edged back into the sky. It was a delight to see the sun set once more after the months of bleaching sunlight. This Dr. Gavin Francis sure has a much different story to tell than Robert Shortman did on Nathan Oakley's channel. And this book was written in 2012, 4 years before Robert Shortman went on Nathan's channel. Remember, Robert Shortman was not a flat earther when he was in Antarctica. And so things that were written and recorded before he became a flat earther would be extremely valuable. And we have something written by Robert Shortman himself back in 2003, long before he became a flat earther. On the British Antarctic Survey website, they have the original journal entries from the crew back in 2003. They took turns writing each month's journal entry, and Robert Shortman himself wrote the journal entry in September of 2003. Here is a screenshot which includes the URL so you can go look at this for yourself. Robert says something very interesting in this entry. And remember, this is the September journal entry. He says, although it was only August when we first saw the sun, we're already running out of darkness. This makes sense as they were headed into the southern summer. Now, Robert mentions Gavin here, the doctor, and Gavin Francis wrote the November journal entry. You can see here it's called Summer Has Arrived. And let's see what Gavin has to say about the sun. On Sunday the 23rd, that's November 23rd, there was a solar eclipse, the first one ever to be witnessed in Antarctica. We have had 24-hour sunlight for several weeks now, so although the eclipse was in the middle of the night, we could all see it easily. 24-hour sunlight for several weeks now. I browsed the other journal entries from 2003 and found a couple more items to note. In the January 2003 entry, it says this: for most, it was still quite a novelty to be enjoying sunlight at midnight. That is why the 24-hour sun is also called the midnight sun. And the February 2003 journal entry says this: the first sunset at Halley since last October was this month. The first sunset, which means the sun never set from October until February. So truthers, how did I do on my research? Now it's starting to make more sense why Nathan Oakley would turn down an opportunity to travel to Antarctica to see the sun for himself. And it's also making sense why he reacts like he does when someone asks him about the 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Listen to this guy simply ask Nathan nicely about the 24-hour sun in Antarctica, and Nathan proceeds to absolutely tear this guy's head off. And as you listen to this, remember that Nathan says this at the very beginning of every show.
Most importantly, if you'd like to join the discussion, simply mute the page you are currently watching, then click the link in the info box below this video to join the panel and express your views on the nature of Earth. If you do join, please don't swear. If you do, you'll be ejected, and if you are, please don't try to rejoin the stream using sock accounts.
Don't swear or you'll get kicked out. Here we go.
Are you able to answer the question about 24 hours of light in Antarctica on a...
I've interviewed a guy who's not experienced 24 hours of daylight in Antarctica. He spent 18 months there. Have you ever spoken to anybody ever that's been in Antarctica? Because I spoke to a chap who was a plumber on one of the rigs that's out there and spent 18 months there and categorically stated he didn't experience 24 hours sunlight. So, unless you've been in Antarctica and can top Robert Shortman's personal testimony that doesn't happen, I think we'll stick with your original claim that there's pictures of Earth from a sky vacuum outside sphere-shaped air, because that's about the 12th time I've put it to you, and like a total coward, you haven't acknowledged it once.
I know at least a half dozen people who have lived and worked in Antarctica, and their claims would refute your experts.
Excellent. Where are they published?
They published.
Yeah, published? What, like actually prove what I've just claimed, even though I'm a nobody nobody's ever met, and I'm claiming somebody that nobody's met that hasn't met me is actually proof that there's actually a refutation to your claim of a guy who's actually on videotape saying it? Yeah, where's the videotaped evidence of this person's testimony that I can find? Where's the account published?
I can easily provide that for you. Are you suggesting, though...
Go on then. Now.
Therefore, it...
Go on then.
Are you suggesting...
Go on then. Let's see it. You said I can easily provide that for you.
Or it's true.
Sorry, are you going to ignore me?
No.
So go on then. Let's see it right now.
I can
stutter like a bitch. Or you can provide it right now.
Oh, I don't have it with me right now.
Oh, so you can't? You fucking lying scumbag shithead.
So when you said you could provide it quite easily, you're actually fucking lying to us.
Someone says.
So you're a fucking liar. So you'd have had my audience believe that you could top Robert Shortman's videotape testimony of no 24-hour sun with something that you simply cannot provide, you fucking liar.
I can provide it for you.
Go on then.
Let's
see it then.
I know people.
Sorry, go on then.
Who have been
Go on then.
And
Go
worked
on
at
then.
Scott Bay.
Go on then. Let's see it.
Let's see it.
Sorry, are you going to repeat me saying I'd like you to do the thing you've just said you can done every single time I ask you to do it? Yes, you stupid brain dead. I am asking you to do the thing you've said you can easily do.
This type of reaction to a simple question about a 24-hour sun in Antarctica is not normal. This is what they call being triggered. Now, in addition to calling TFE a fraud and calling me a fraud, Nathan also said he doesn't want to go to Antarctica because he doesn't go to dangerous places. Hear him for yourself.
He's still calling it an experiment, though. Yeah, that's why I justify calling him a fraud. He is. Why haven't I gone down? I don't go with fraudsters to places that are very dangerous. Why would I?
Now, I did a little more investigating and found some interesting things. Here is a Facebook post Nathan made where he says, I am interviewing a NASA insider tomorrow. He used to do artwork for NASA. He's talking about Math Powerland, who I'm actually in communication with right now. Fooling the masses that planets are places we can go rather than the lights in the sky that they really are. If he shows up, it will be a massive deal for me. He wants to go to Antarctica so we can prove if the flat Earth is finite or infinite. We need to go to Antarctica to find out. So Nathan used to think we need to go to Antarctica to find the truth about our world. He also posted this video here and said, see the edge of the real world, but don't try to go as you will get turned back at gunpoint. Antarctica is all around us. It's keeping in all the perfectly flat water. This is why Nathan really wants there to not be a 24-hour sun in Antarctica. Because if Antarctica is all around us, as he says, keeping in all the water, as he says, a 24-hour sun is not possible in that scenario. Now, in the comments on that post, someone named Robbie O'Hare asked someone, fancy a trip to the South Pole? And Nathan replied to that comment saying, yes, I'd love to go, but you have to take an escorted trip. So Nathan previously said we need to go to Antarctica and that he would love to go to Antarctica. But now that someone is willing to pay for him to go, he does not want to go anymore. One last post I found from Nathan is this one. It's a Gleason's map, and Nathan calls it the real map of the world. A 24-hour sun in Antarctica is not possible on this real map of the world. So if there is a 24-hour sun in Antarctica, this is not actually a real map of the world. Now, I've saved all these posts and videos, and if Nathan deletes any of them after this video, I will be sure to let everyone know. Nathan, while I'm disappointed you turned down this incredibly generous offer to join us in Antarctica this December, I can tell you that some others are relieved you won't be joining us, seeing as how you treat people who disagree with you. Talk soon, everyone.